Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity, and Governor Raskin, good seeing you again, and I appreciated our visit earlier. I think we're all hearing a very common theme, and yes, I'm sure we'll hear from our retailer and merchant friends a little later about that delay or a discussion of that. And I'm trying to take it back maybe a step more to the basic as a freshman who was not here during the time of the writing of both the underlying act as well as the Durbin Amendment that was proposed and the machinations that went into adopting that and what was going on.
That makes two of us.
Okay, well, we're on par then with this. So you were talking about downward pressure on the act and what was happening, and wondering if you can lend any kind of perspective as to the Fed's view of what and why there was not any sort of this downward pressure on pricing pre the act, and really do we have any way of knowing the cost of implementing this regulation? Is it going to be proportionally beneficial to not only the large banks, but the small banks, as have been indicated, the retailers and the merchants that are going to be having it, and most importantly, the consumers? Are they going to actually be seeing any kind of benefit?
And those are all excellent questions and different impacts that are all occurring in a dynamic environment at the same time. Very hard to measure exactly how one will affect another. But I'll try on a couple of fronts to answer some of those questions. So in terms of the market structure, now, in most markets, competition leads to prices going down. In payment card markets, we've seen something that seems a little bit more unusual, where you've got competition, but interchange fees are going up. And so there were clearly issues regarding market structure, I think, that were animating the development of this statute. I don't think it came out of nowhere. There clearly was a sense that merchants had had prohibitions on how essentially they could route transactions, but those prohibitions had cost implications that they could not control.
And could it be that price pressure is swimming upstream because of some of the expectations either that consumers have and/or regulations that have been put on those that are handling those transactions?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know if I've thought about it from that perspective exactly, but I think the increase in fees has actually it would be hard to evaluate the extent to which a regulatory environment has brought any of that about. But essentially, it is what they call a two-sided market, where you have the networks looking at fees both to the issuing bank and to the merchant side. And typically, the networks use those two sides to actual balance, to have credit cards, debit cards accepted in the marketplace. And it's a balance that has had some kind of possibly perverse pricing consequences. So essentially, you have issuing banks now who are taking these directives from the networks and increasing their interchange fees to merchants. So there's that characteristic. The other characteristic that you pointed out has to do really with the impact on consumers, and the consumer really doesn't even know, right? When you swipe your debit card or hand it to the cashier, you don't even know essentially that there's an interchange fee involved, but that interchange fee is somehow being paid for, and the impact of what changing the interchange fees would do is something that has been postulated would be of savings to the consumer, but we don't quite know.
It seems to me that we need to just blame this on intergenerational expectations. The staff section doesn't carry cash. The rest of us actually do, and we still want to go buy a $1.90 coffee somewhere, and we expect to be able to use whatever is convenient for us, not necessarily what's convenient for the retailer or convenient for those of us that are dealing with it. So thank you. I appreciate that, and look forward to continuing to pursue that. So thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back